um, inserting your religion, sir. Bad move.
Ladies and gentlemen, much like Megan Boswell, Mr. Scott seems to have some very convenient explanations for what happened in this case. Lots of things that happened in this case. All of the evidence in this case that points to his client, he's got some sort of explanation for it. But the problem is, in order to buy into this, in order to believe it, you have to believe Megan Boswell. You have to believe that when she spoke to Agent Fraley on the 25th, that she was somehow, for the first and only time in this courtroom, speaking the truth. But I think each of you, as you sit here, know that's not possible. That's not possible. Megan Boswell is one of those people. You used to hear the expression, the truth ain't in them.
Ah,
The truth's not in Megan Boswell.
say that.
She doesn't know how to tell the truth. Everything that she tells to every person in her life is for some reason. And that reason is because Megan's trying to get something out of it. She is a master manipulator. Even at 17 years old, you sit there and watch those videos. She's trying to play everybody. She's trying to play the law enforcement officers who are interviewing her. She's playing her friends. Every person in her life who walked through that gate and sat up on that witness chair was in some way manipulated by Megan Boswell. Some way. Whether it was about Evelyn, whether it was about how she was going to pay for a babysitter, whether you're the father of my child, whether you're a great-grandfather, whether your wife who's dying of cancer is babysitting the kid. I mean, she knows no bounds. There is no person that she will not manipulate and tell untruths about and to. No one. But Mr. Scott comes in here today and says, yeah, hey, come on, ladies and gentlemen, the 25th, that was the point, which she decided, hey, I'm going to be truthful here. No, it wasn't. And we know it's not. It was just another story. She was telling law enforcement to lead them some other way. That's all it was. And if you remember, when Agent Gratz testified, General Massonville was asking him the question, when did this first thing about accidents and rollovers, when did that come up? Well, it came up when the police and law enforcement finally said, yeah, we got nothing going on here. We got to give her an out. We got to give her something so we can try to find this kid. They're the ones who suggested it. And then very conveniently, the next day, she comes in, and guess what? Oh, yeah, I forgot. Yeah, that's right. I'm sorry. I'm sorry I've been lying to you all for days and days and days now. But now I'm going to tell you the truth. But that's not what happened. That's not what happened. I submit to you, the only time that Megan Boswell may have told the truth about some small portion, if you remember during one of the interviews, Lieutenant Price, who had been very patient with her up until that point in time, finally said, come on, something happened on December 21st. And she stopped him and corrected him. Remember? She said, no, something happened before December 21st. Yeah, something did. She murdered her child. That's what happened before December 21st. Ladies and gentlemen, before I speak further about the physical evidence that ties and shows that Miss Boswell is the one who is guilty in this case and who needs to be held accountable, I want to take you back to jury selection. Last week when you all were first up here and up there, and I asked you if all of you had brought your common sense with you. And if all of you, as you listen to the evidence in the case, would use your common sense. And everyone agreed that you would. So I want to remind you of that. And it reminds you to apply that to the evidence that you've heard, the testimony that you've heard in this case. Because the defense wants to say that perhaps, again, speculating, it's a possibility that Evelyn just died one day in early December. And then all of a sudden, Megan engages in this just pattern of just totally bizarre behavior that involves wrapping her child in a blanket, tightly pressing her head in aluminum foil, and stuffing her in a trash can, and then engaging in this just convoluted tale to anybody who wants to inquire about what's going on with Evelyn. But it's a remarkable coincidence, isn't it, that all this occurs at the same time that she starts working at the chicken shack. And then she meets Hunter Wood. You know, that Hunter Wood. The one who lives out on the lake in the big house. And remember, this is where Megan's living before December. These are the conditions Megan's subjecting her child to before December. Then she meets Hunter Wood. Big house out by the lake. Dad owns a business that I'm working at. Remember the other things she's telling investigators as time goes on. Needed a break. Watching 3 kids. Remember, her mom had the 2 other young siblings. Needed a break. Was tired. When did Ethan Perry step up? I've been raising this kid for a whole year by myself. Probably a little bit of truth in there. A little bit of truth. But it's a remarkable coincidence. This kid, Evelyn, natural causes, just dies right at the same time. Apply your common sense in asking yourselves why. Why would Megan Boswell then start on December the 7th? She tells Bailey Hawkins, hey, it's just me. Ethan's grandma has Evelyn right now. December 7th. Remember, she starts Chicken Shack the 2nd. 7th, 5 days. 5 days later. Why does she start telling all these things that are obviously not true? I'm in a custody battle with Ethan. I don't have her. Evelyn's sick. She's got the flu. Can't bring her. Can't bring her up there to get the Christmas gifts. But you see her. Why does she do that? Why does a mom who, by everybody's testimony, everybody's, her friend Bailey Hawkins told you, I mean, yeah, she wasn't a perfect mom, but she did well. She did well. They all did. I mean, she's posting pictures on Facebook, Instagram. Everybody. Her own pediatrician, Dr. Pugh, came in here. Yeah. She's a good kid. We didn't have any concerns. Healthy, meeting milestones, an advanced child. Why does a mom who dotes over her kid, who won't even let anybody babysit, she's so protective of this child? Remember Erica Stacy? I mean, heaven's sakes. I mean, that's an ex-boyfriend's mom who is willing to babysit the kid so that her son can go on dates with her. She won't let her do it. She won't let her do it. She will not let her babysit. That's how protective she is of this child. So why? Why? Apply your common sense. She won't do it because she can't face the truth about what she's done. She can't face that truth. She can't look at that picture. I'm not going to put it back up there for you. She can't face what she's done to that child. Discarding her like a piece of garbage. That's what she did. She can't face that truth. So she engages in just spinning all these stories to everybody. Everybody that comes with a story, she's deflecting it out because she doesn't want to face that. It is almost unbelievable to me that the defense is still arguing that Hunter Wood had some involvement in this case. I mean, truly unbelievable to me that they're making that argument. That has no credibility, number one. And two, no proof whatsoever. Not a single shred of evidence has been presented in this courtroom that ties Hunter Wood to anything dealing with the death of Evelyn Boswell. Not one thing. It's all just rank speculation. Oh, well, because he's in a mental hospital, therefore he must have done something. Right? No. How many people walked up there, took that witness stand and said, oh yeah, I remember when I saw Hunter and Evelyn and Megan together. I remember when I saw that. None. Nobody said that. How many people said, oh, yeah, I remember when I saw Hunter holding Evelyn at the chicken? No. Again, nobody said that. No evidence that witness stand ever put Hunter with Evelyn. She evidently wants you to believe, again, and I'll put this picture back up there. She wants you to believe that Hunter, and remember her when she's talking to Agent Fraley, that Hunter went over to her place. That's her place. Stayed the night with her and rolled over on the child. He's got a place over, nice place over on the lake, remember. But that's what she wants you to believe. When her breaking point, when she's finally telling the truth. Apply your common sense to that. What else possibly ties Hunter to this case? To Evelyn's body being disposed of? Maybe it's the playhouse over on Tommy's property. No. Again, we know Evelyn is probably gone 5 days after she first met Hunter from working at the chicken shack. But Megan Boswell wants you to believe that he's then able to go onto her property and stick a body in a trash can in a playhouse that was built for Megan Boswell. Mr. Scott asked you, and I wrote it down. He asked you who was more likely to have left a print on the foil. Well, I'll tell you who's more likely to have left a print on the foil. The person whose print was found on the foil. Megan Boswell. He stands up here, and again, we've got explanations for everything. Well, maybe it was possible she tore a sheet off earlier, and in doing that, she grabbed the foil and left a print. Well, there's no Hunter Wood prints on any of the foil. The bag is stuffed on top of the body where Evelyn's found. Multiple prints on that. None of them belong to Hunter. They all belong to Megan Boswell. He wants to say, and again, it's still beyond my comprehension that we're talking about Hunter Wood here. You know, why wouldn't Hunter give a DNA sample? I don't know. Perhaps because Hunter is being mucked up in Megan's world here. My gosh. Here I am dating this girl, and all of a sudden I got TBI agents asking me about a child that's missing and no explanation for it. Maybe that's why. And again, in this particular case, you heard from Agent Gray, what does it matter? There's nothing that was tested. All those things she testified to yesterday, all of them, all those things I handed up to her, she analyzed. Not one piece of them had any identifiable DNA on it that could have been tied back to Hunter. None. Everything was Megan's or Evelyn's or limited profiles. As I remember, I asked her if I gave everybody in the world's DNA to her. she wouldn't have been able to match any DNA to Hunter Wood. Nothing. Nothing. Everything connected to that body in the trash can comes back to Megan Boswell. And then, let's not forget, in the middle, while all this is going on, February 22nd, Megan's child's missing. They question Hunter. And they have this conversation. And Mr. Scott wants you to believe that this is some kind of contrived thing between Megan and Hunter. But what evidence did you hear that there was any sort of contrived conversations going on here? Nothing. Again, nothing. In order to believe that, you've got to believe one person, Megan Boswell. And we know you can't believe her. No. Hunter says, yeah, but where's the baby? I just want the baby to be found safely. What's her response? If she was truly trying to cover this up, a little bit better response would probably be heard. She says, Dad won't let me go anywhere because of the situation. Hunter, I can't disclose stuff to you on here about what TBI is doing. His concern, please assure me the baby will be found and brought home safely. That's not a conversation with someone that you have that has disposed of a body, that has helped get rid of your dead child. That's not a conversation. Hunter Wood is not at play here, ladies and gentlemen. Not at all. Not at all. Defense has also talked to you about these things that medical conditions that they questioned the medical examiners about yesterday. Possible. Again, possible.
He should never have.
Things that might have caused Evelyn to just suddenly die of natural causes. A perfectly healthy child. Again, he's asking you to speculate about possibilities. But we don't decide this case on possibilities. And if you think about it, ladies and gentlemen, you didn't hear from just 2 doctors about Evelyn's condition, about what kind of a child she was. You heard from 3 doctors. Her pediatrician testified in this case too. And what did she tell you? Evelyn was a healthy child, advanced, had met all of her milestones. Any concerns about her health? No, her concern was that on December the 5th, she doesn't show up for her year checkup appointment. She's a no-show. That's her concern. Not, Evelyn's got tongue-tied. I'm concerned maybe she's going to die from SIDS. Not, oh, she's got some sort of reflux going on. I'm afraid she might be at risk to just suddenly die one day. That's not her concern. And remember, and Mr. Scott didn't talk about this because you don't want to talk about it. I asked Dr. Malushnik yesterday about statistics. This wasn't just her opinion. These are statistics kept by the Department of Health in Tennessee about the number of kids over 1 year of age who die in rollover deaths. Entire state of Tennessee last year, none. Entire state of Tennessee last 10 years, none. But yet, they want you to believe that's a possibility in this case. She's the first one, ladies and gentlemen, evidently. The first one. No, it's not a possibility. You decide this case on the evidence that you've heard, the testimony you've heard from that witness stand. And the testimony you heard from 2 different medical examiners is that this child died from asphyxiation. That's what they told you. Both of them told you that. He said they had contrary opinions. They didn't have contrary opinions. One of them had a little stronger opinion, but they both had the same opinion. They both told you the cause of death Same thing. Asphyxiation. All the evidence in this case points to one person alone as being the person who caused that asphyxiation. And that is Megan Boswell. This wasn't an accident, ladies and gentlemen. It wasn't an accident at all. You've got lots of evidence of premeditation sitting over there in that box. This isn't a little piece of tin foil. This isn't foil like you stick around a baked potato and stick in the oven. You saw it. You saw the photographs, and the foil's in there. Pull it out. It's a big old piece of foil. Mr. Scott wants to suggest maybe it was sitting down in the trash can and somebody pulled it out. Nobody's using that much foil. Use your common sense. And remember the testimony from Dr. Malusnik yesterday about how that foil was applied. That blanket, so tight when they're taking it off, the impressions left on that child's face. The foil, how painstakingly slow they had to pull it off because it was tightly compressed around the child's head. I submit to you, that's premeditation, ladies and gentlemen. That's intent. That's not an accident.
Mm-hmm.
Part of this case, ladies and gentlemen, that Mr. Scott said is really, sad. It really is. It's a tragedy. You think about all those people that you heard testify, how easily all of this could have been avoided. All those people. Bailey Hawkins, Audrey Gibbs, Casey Saltz, Gail Kite, Paul Miller, Erica Stacy. Any one of those people would have taken that child. All this could have been avoided. But Megan Boswell only cares about one person, and that's Megan Boswell. She started a facade back first week of December after she killed her child. She created this world, this web, you've heard it called. And that's a pretty good description of it. It's a web. It traps and ensnares everybody that she comes into contact with. She started this facade back then, and it's continued and continued and continued. And she brought it into here to this courtroom in front of you. She's trying to get you all to believe the rollover, believe the accident, believe my child died of natural causes, and that I just flipped out and engaged in this totally bizarre behavior. But in order to do that, you have to ignore the evidence in this case. You have to ignore forensics that place her and her alone as the perpetrator of this crime. This case is the very opposite of an accident. It's an intentional and knowing murder of a child. Megan Boswell got rid of Evelyn so that Megan could be Megan. She enjoyed it. You've seen the pictures General Massengill showed you. Hanging out on Blowing Rock, going to the aquarium, Super Bowl party. Megan Boswell sits here in this courtroom today as guilty as she was back in that first week in December. As guilty as she was on February the 18th, when she first came in there, Detective Perez, the James Lewis interview. She acted all surprised. What are y'all going to do? You going to find my child for? What do you do when a child goes missing? Remember those expressions, those questions she threw out there? She sits here in this courtroom today as guilty as she was back then. because she never learned the one lesson that we all know, which is that you're responsible for your actions and your choices in life. And she sits here because she
excuse me.
refused to learn that lesson. You've heard her interviews. She takes responsibility for nothing. But today is the day you get to hold her responsible for those actions, for her poor choices and decisions, for her decision to get rid of Evelyn, to dispose of her like a piece of garbage. That's what she did, ladies and gentlemen. She disposed of her child like a piece of garbage. But her poor choices and decisions have a price, and they have a consequence. The state has proven to you over the course of the last week, Megan Boswell is guilty. First-degree murder, false report, tampering with evidence, and failing to report that death to authorities. We ask today that you hold her responsible for those poor decisions by finding her guilty as charged.
Thank you, John. Let's see the attorney.
Sorry. The soundboard is having a meltdown. Sorry. Please, I wish they could pan to the front of her face. She's sitting there. She got Fiji water today, no Dasani, because she don't have it. You know, the attorneys, what did they? Y'all brought her some Fiji. No Dasani, none of the nasty water that tastes like it got a little dirt in it. Yeah, Allie. So yeah, that was so troubling yesterday. While they believe, and it makes sense. If the child was already passed on from being rolled over on, why did she put so much stuff on that baby's face? And when they said that yesterday, it hit like a ton of freaking bricks. Look at, no, not a tear, not a one. Yeah, the religion thing, he should have never brought that into a closing statement. And the last thing that he said.
All right. Mr. Hyatt, Mr. Selner, Mr. Arnett, you're the three alternates. If you will go with the officer.
Oh,
Just
Allie,
leave him in
I
the
gotta
seat.
get Allie
That'd be
in the
fine.
van. I'm sorry,
And
Allie.
you're